Welcome to part 2 of day 1 of the SFL's free agent frenzy. I'm SFL Commissioner Cameron Irvine, and we've got a full, and I mean full, panel with us tonight to break down the 30 free agent signings, maybe a couple of more stragglers that come across the wire throughout the afternoon, and it's going to be a good one. And with that, we bring in our panel from left to right around the round table. He signed earlier this morning. That is the one, Dave Axis. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing glorious. Cam, how are you doing?
I'm great. Before, actually, ask me again how you're doing, since I had you muted. I have not learned my lesson from the first show.
That's okay. I said I am absolutely glorious and asked how you were doing.
I'm great. How did you make the decision to go to Lone Star?
Well, it wasn't easy. There were several teams I was talking to, and I got to tell you, we have a lot of great owners and a lot of great GMs in this league. I think at the end of the day, Wally, Charles, and Coach just showed me a vision that I absolutely fell in love with, and we just went from there.
Well, it certainly will be interesting, seeing how Lone Star continues to put their team together. They've got some more signings on the wire tonight, so we'll have a look-see. And Dave, you going to be sticking around with us tonight?
I am going to stick around.
All right, good deal. They call him Duck Dog on Discord. It's Dan Daly, one of the best analysts in the SFL. How you doing, Dan?
Well, thanks for the praise, Cam. I'm happy to be here and thank you for having me. Hopefully it's a good panel with all the great people we have today.
We think we might have some signings of some players on this panel. Dan, do you know where you're going?
I may.
You may. All right, that's good. Returning from this morning, Eric Vinson. How you doing, Eric?
Doing great, Cam. Taco Tuesday is in full swing. I'm on the umpteenth margarita today.
Umpteenth margarita. You need more airtime tonight, then. That's what that sounds like.
Yes.
Oh no!
You got a chance to check out the signings from this morning. What are you hoping to see that you didn't see earlier tonight?
I know there are going to be some more signings coming down the pipeline for my Toros, so I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing all the different holes that are going to be filled across the league. Obviously, we have a former number 1 overall pick that's wanting to sign somewhere else, so we'll definitely hear about that, I'm sure, later on as well.
Certainly teasing that out is one Johnny Pickler. Mark Hurwitz back on the show, Director of Compliance, also plays for Lincoln in the SFLM. When do y'all play tomorrow, Mark?
4 o'clock Eastern.
And who do you got?
No idea.
I know who you're playing.
Who's he playing? He playing Boise?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Boise. Uh-oh.
Well, John is sitting in between the two of you here tonight. He's gonna have to keep you all separated. And with that being said, John Kruseman is on the show. Team TBD. We might get his signing here very shortly. How you doing, John?
Hey, not too bad, Cam. Just waiting for the show and hope it's going to be a good one. And you guys are doing an amazing job.
John, you are otherwise known as Mr. Positive, but you also might be known as Mr. Indecisive. You had retired your player, then you thought you might go defense, and then you came out of retirement, maybe for an opportunity we'll talk about later tonight. We're not really sure, but are you happy with how things have developed here in the last few weeks for you?
Yes, Cam. I am very excited and happy with my decision. I actually did choose in the end. But yeah, I'm very excited.
Well, we're excited for you, and we'll get to that. Returning this morning, from this morning, rather, Robert Garrett Jr. sitting next to me at the table. I don't know who put this arrangement together.
Yeah, I might slide some weird drawings your way halfway through the show, just out of boredom.
Don't distract me. Out of boredom? How dare you? Rookie in SFLM, looking to continue to make an impact this minor league season. It's Judah Dorgan on the cast. How you doing, Judah?
I'm doing great.
Excellent.
Might not be able to stick around this whole time because I have to put my sister to bed and get all that situated. So.
Well, that's all right. We'll enjoy you while you're here, and What did you catch out any of the show this morning? What was
I did not. I had to make some phone calls, get some unemployment stuff situated.
Oh man, yep. Well, we're sorry to hear that, and there are plenty of people out there that are feeling your pain right now, and we wish you the best with it. How about Eddie Gage at the end of the table? How do you always get seated at the end of the table?
I'm just forgotten about. I'm just a has-been Hall of Fame strong safety.
Oh,
But what up, dude? How y'all doing tonight?
You threw in the Hall of Fame in there.
Of course, come on.
We might get Damon Simeon on the call. We're hoping that he can join. In fact, he is typing right now. Who knows what he'll type, given what happened with him earlier today in the chat room. He had some fiery things to say. Over 100 members while we wait to see what's going on with Damon. Chat shout-outs to Knockoff Sharknado Memorabilia. That's one person.
Such a good name.
Harish Prasad, Carolina Skyhawks, Tom Rahman, Eric Vincent, Project X Crusade, John Trusman. Hey, I see some analysts in the chat. James Klein, Billy Ray Valentine, Garrison Blue, Ray Bentley, Little Known Perfection, Matthew Lee, and many others. Yes, Damon, you are more than welcome to join the call. We'll get him in. We do have a full call. I did place some calls out to some people who did not answer 3 minutes ago, and now you are locked out. Snooze, you lose. Anyway, the signing period, the free agent frenzy, we might as well get started. But before we get started, let's say hi to Damon Simeon.
Hey, guys.
Whoa, don't sound so sad.
I thought he was going to yell at us like he did earlier.
I've been on daddy duty. I just put the baby to sleep. He just took his bath, so.
Daddy duty. Where's the all caps demand?
Well, I was having a shitty day at work and always working caps at work, so.
All right, I'll make sure that YouTube knows this is an explicit video. And with that,
SFL After Dark.
Oh my! With that, let's get to our first signing of the night. Before we get to it, let me go back to Eddie. Eddie, we talked about Pickler briefly, but are there any free agents out there that you're still wondering? Maybe you talked to that you haven't seen sign. You're not sure where they're going, and you'd like to see them go somewhere.
I have a couple of them, Cam. I have a former teammate who I played with in Houston by the name of Rodney Punani. I'd like to see where he's going. I also like to see where the living legend himself, who forever and a day, as long as he's in the Seattle area visiting, will get free food wherever he goes, Mason Kirby.
Mason Kirby, yeah, he's an interesting one. It's gonna be interesting to see where he ends up. We're gonna start with a pretty shocking signing that came across the wire. It was kind of unbelievable when it all came together, and it actually started to come together just last night. But our first signing of part 2 of the SFL's free agent frenzy is a quarterback. And no, it's not Johnny Pickler. It is a player that has not played in the SFL since season 9 with the Baltimore Crabs. That is Matt South, and Matt South is out of retirement and joining the Portland Fleet. Matt South, 94.75 QB rating, and Portland gets a quarterback, a veteran quarterback. And we start with Dan Daly with reaction.
You know, it's always so super interesting to see someone come out of retirement, definitely after all this time, 6 seasons basically coming into season 15, and seeing someone as old coming from the Baltimore Crabs. That's something great to see. I'm really excited to see what going on to an expansion team such as Portland. I think they can make a huge impact, really just stretching out their offense with a veteran QB who knows what they're doing, who's going to, knock off some dust and come into the game all over again.
Robert, it is so important, quarterback play in the SFL, and Portland. I was talking with Jacob Bouvette last night. His speech to Matt South, he feels like really turned the tide, and boy, Portland got their franchise guy well before the draft.
Yeah, we kind of talked to him a little bit last night as well, and the big thing about it is with a quarterback like Matt South coming out of retirement, you kind of know what you're getting in value. With some of the rookies, you're not quite sure where they're going to be at and what you're going to have to do to set them up for success. So landing that guy's a big move for Portland, and I'm excited to see how it goes.
So Portland gets Matt South, and we've seen a lot of guys that maybe thought they were retiring or had every intention to retire, but Eric Vincent, it's just so hard to not scratch the itch.
It is. You always come back to the SFL. You remember that, folks out there in the chat. You thinking that you're gonna step away here? You might be gone for a season, maybe half a season, but you're gonna come back.
You get the itch. You can't stop
You
the
get
itch. Let's stay in Portland, making waves tonight. A man on the panel. Another surprising signing. The Portland Fleet, ladies and gentlemen, they're doing some work. And the Portland Fleet not only have a quarterback, but they have a running back tonight. And it's John Kruseman. John Kruseman signing at running back, moving over from fullback from Las Vegas. Another 94 running back rating. And we have John here on the panel tonight. Your signing is official, and you are a member of the Fleet. Your reaction?
Hey, Cam, I'm very excited and very happy to see what the season unfolds. Honestly, all these teams getting really a lot of key players. It's going to be very interesting to see how the season plays out. I'm happy I'm on Portland, and as well as they got a QB. Let's see how our connection works this coming-up season.
Damon wanted to say something on Matt South, and he can get his opinion on the John Kruseman signing as well. Go ahead, Damon.
Congratulations, Kruseman, on signing with Portland. But I want to ask this question, Cam. Are we getting Matt South from the Baltimore Crabs, or are we getting Matt South from the LA Sharks?
Tough question. Well, first off, we all know it is the same person, but let's take a look down memory lane of Matt South's career. Most don't know, has a James Klein connection. I believe Klein taught him in school. His player profile was built on May 24th, 2017, so that kind of shows you where that is almost 3 years to the day that profile was built on the website. In Season 8, he played in Los Angeles, 10 touchdowns, 23 picks. Not very good. In Season 9 in Baltimore, 22 touchdowns, 20 picks. So what do you think, Damon? Which one are we going to see?
I don't know. The guy been in Hyenas for a few years, so we don't know who we getting.
What do you think about the Kruseman signing, having a fullback flip over to halfback?
I absolutely love it. I mean, Kruseman has been a great fullback for the Las Vegas team, and going over to the Fleet is going to be a great workhorse for that organization. And Portland is making some moves, man. Portland, I have seen some things out of these expansion teams that I don't think I've ever seen before. These guys are coming in and, man, they're full steam ahead and just basically, man, taking over this free agency period. They really are.
Dave Axis, your thoughts on the Portland signings, Portland pair?
Well, I think it was obvious that Kruseman was going to go there after we saw Louisiana sign Streeter. I think that probably makes Fox Highwind the #1 running back in the draft now. So I think it'll be interesting to see where he goes in the draft. I think there's only, one expansion team left that needs a running back now?
Yeah, what is that, Fort Worth? Is that Fort Worth, Robert?
Yeah, I think it's Fort Worth.
Yes.
So that could be a destination. Fort Worth looking for a quarterback as well. So we'll see what they do with that #1 pick. That #1 pick is getting very interesting as we wind our way to the draft. Our next signing, as I get my bearings here on where we're going, let's go back to Texas, where the Fort Worth Toros have captured a free agent and And this free agent, he's pretty well known. He's another player coming out of retirement. He might be somebody's best friend. And it's Kade Stevens from Vancouver to Fort Worth. Of course, Vancouver way back in the day. Kade Stevens, a new Toro, and the commissioner quickly flips to see if Fort Worth will be playing Vancouver this season. Eric Vincent, your reactions to your best friend getting back into the SFL and on the field?
You know, I had to talk to him a little bit to get him to maybe consider doing it. But after talking with him, he told me that Hacker is Stephen Hacker, co-owner of the Fort Worth Toros, is probably the only guy that he would come out of retirement for. He was ready to kind of hang up the cleats and was happy just doing the analyst thing. And I'm happy to have him as my partner. But yeah, he's geared up, ready to go down there in Fort Worth, and I couldn't be happier to have him. Andy
Hamilton in the chat says trash and is booing him.
And his was the reaction I was looking for the most as well. I knew as soon as he saw that his jaw would hit the floor. Sorry, Andy.
Judah Dorgan, let's get your thoughts on the Kade Stevens signing. If you unmute. We'll come back to you. Mark Hurwitz, your thoughts.
Well, I certainly think for Fort Worth, it's a great move. Looks like Cade's probably going to be in the slot. And Andy, I got to tell you, I love you, and I love the booing from the chat. Fantastic. That made my night already. Thank you.
So Portland and Fort Worth, two expansion teams making some noise here in free agency to start the evening. We're 3 signings in here to the free agency frenzy, and if we're going to get to all of them, we better speed up the pace. Let's go back to Dave Axis. You signed a similar contract at wide receiver in Lone Star. This is a player that's going to be a new rival for you.
It is, and I think that we might have to nominate Vancouver for the early on MVP for the upcoming season with all the players they're distributing among the league.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Oof. That's ruthless.
Yikes.
That's ruthless.
That was supposed to be a compliment.
Oh my God.
Lone Star versus Vancouver. Lone Star versus Vancouver. Where's that matchup? From one guy coming out of retirement to another, and I have to say, like the amount of players coming out of retirement. Anybody have a theory on this? This has become a trend here in free agency that is sort of beginning to dominate the storylines. Any thoughts as to what's going on here? Is this believing the hype?
I have a 2-word answer for that, Cam. Television deal.
Dude, I was gonna say the same thing.
All
like
exposure.
2 words, but it's like 7 syllables.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be on TV. Well, how about this guy coming out of retirement? The last time he played, he had 22 solo sacks and then retired. Does anybody know who this player is?
I know who it is.
Say again, Damon?
I don't.
I'll say Rick O'Reilly, but he's not a user.
Rick O'Reilly. That's a blast from the past from the Louisville Wolfpack. Anybody else want to take a stab?
No clue.
Eddie?
No clue.
I think I know who you're referring to, Cam.
It's E.J. DeQ. Eddie's going to Arizona. Defensive end. 76.39, and DeQ is back, and Arizona gets another.
You're in trouble with me, Eddie.
Go ahead. I want to hear this feud.
Congrats.
Cam, put the rematch on the board. EJ DeQ turned me down as well. I'm busting his ass too.
Yes,
put him
sir.
Put him back on the schedule. I'm busting everybody. Whoever turned me down, I'm busting they behind. Put him on the schedule, Cam. Put everybody on the schedule. Eddie, I can't stand you, dog.
I love you too, man.
Eddie and I talked about, man, I even shared the name who I was going after. You didn't share the name, Eddie.
Hey,
Ooh,
Devon, no disrespect, but I already had a verbal from him at that point. I was just trying to keep quiet about it. We all know
You a
verbals don't
monster.
mean anything, but yeah, I've been holding that one close to my vest.
You're
Judy,
supposed to be my friend. You're gonna steal him from me.
And you know
You
what?
heard the Steelers.
I have to give credit to Ashley Jackson. She's the one who made this deal happen. Thank you, Ashley. She went out and found this guy. They've been in contact, periodically throughout the season, and he's been asking her questions about the SFL, trying to keep up with things and how things are going. And she lured that guy to retirement, and I never even thought twice to even ask him about it. But she reached out to him, and he says, okay. And we set up a meeting, talked for about maybe 30 minutes, and after that, he was sold. We needed to fill in a void left by Chad Tackle retiring, and boy, does he fit the mold. I can't wait to get him on the field.
Marcus Dunhill in the chat just said, this just in, Houston has a 22-week schedule.
Cam, I was gonna bring him in at 81.93.
Yes.
No. Matter of fact, 83. I think it was 83.96 was his last ratings or something like that.
It was
gonna give him
81
everything he
point
had.
something. He took a pay cut. He took a pay cut to help the team that we needed to make some cuts, and he filled in for us. He said no problem.
Judah, to separate these two, do you have any comments on this signing?
Good signing, Eric. Eddie. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. I love you, man.
But I'm busting it behind.
Let's go to Hurwitz to keep the peace. You seeing anything, Mr. Director of Compliance, that you might need to step in on here?
Well, I want to remind everybody that it's a family-friendly show. And we don't need to be busting anybody's behind just because they don't sign.
Oh my goodness! What a fun time!
It's all fun and games. It's all fun.
Of course, I know. I'm just kidding.
What a fun time! Well, this cornerback journeyman has found a new home, and another interesting signing here by this team. We saw them get a member of their secondary earlier today, and they've got another one here tonight, and that is the Mexico City Aztecs, and their player is Greg Gaines. Moves over from Chicago. Another cornerback on this roster. So they signed earlier today. They picked up Jack Napier, and now they get Greg Gaines. John Kruseman, your thoughts on Gaines getting picked up in Mexico City?
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised, even with Jack Napier hitting Mexico City as well. Because honestly, I thought Jack Napier would honestly pick either maybe Van or, let's say, QCC. But congrats to them, honestly. They picked up some good, solid key players so far.
Dave, where do you think Han Tayumi and Fran Agawa are going to go in this new-look Mexico City defense? This Aztecs team is interesting.
Well, I have no idea where they're going to go, but I'll tell you, I think I heard rumblings earlier this morning. I thought Greg Gaines was actually going somewhere else. So for Ramos to pick up both Gaines and Joker in the same day, I think is pretty solid. It says a lot about Ramos.
Yeah, 2 contracts submitted actually for Gaines around the same time, and Gaines made a selection there at the last second, and so that turned into an interesting signing. Robert Garrett Jr., your thoughts on Mexico City's busy day at defensive back?
Yeah, they definitely worked hard to build a already strong defensive backfield, adding Napier earlier and now Gaines. And honestly, Greg Gaines kind of slipped under the radar. I didn't hear a whole lot of talk about him at all headed into the free agency, so it was a good grab by them.
Well, we got another running back off the board, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is a whopper. I'm not sure if it's the biggest yet. Somebody out there more intelligent than me would, in terms of all the numbers and the contracts and the situations around the league, would know this, but it's a pretty dang big number, and it belongs to the Fort Worth Toros, and it belongs in the backfield, and it is 16 valued running back, and it's Jason Williams from London to Fort Worth, 116.28. Robert Garrett Jr., Your thoughts on your new running back?
Say again.
Robert
cut
Garrett
out there.
Jr. is speechless.
Oh, you cut out a little bit there, so we lost you for a second.
Your thoughts on the on your new running back?
Yeah, I'm super excited that we were able to get Jason Williams. Pretty much the day that the Toros were announced and they announced me as general manager, he hit me up and he said, hey, I want to continue this journey with you. Like, congrats on getting the team. Do you have any interest? And immediately we went to work with him, tried to figure everything out. And then the new running back rules came out and we were able to work with him through that stuff too. And we think we got a solid build with him and can do a whole lot this season.
He's coaching in the minor leagues too. Is he going to be doing any coaching for you guys that you know of?
I don't think they have planned to off the bat. It might be something down the road once he gets it under his hand a little bit more.
Dan Daly, Jason Williams signing in Fort Worth. Your thoughts?
I think it's a great piece for them on their offensive side. He just pressed over 1,000 rushing yards last season, and I think with that bump in value for sure, and seeing what the new expansion in Fort Worth does, he could be a great asset. I really want to see what they do. They have Stephen Hacker on the air game of the ball, so maybe they push more on the ground and just have a rough and tumble with Jason Williams pushing through the front line.
Yeah, should be a complimentary piece there for Fort Worth with Stephen Hacker and Robert Garrett Jr. In the receiving core. So we touched earlier on the new free safety in Arizona. Now we find out where the old free safety is going. And it's not necessarily, well, actually, I stand corrected. My mistake. That signing is still pending. So we'll jump back to that here in a little while. Instead, let's go to a rookie that I guess you could say has been a little controversial in the sense that things didn't end up working well in the end for this guy at the team that drafted him. But he has returned to the league, yet another player coming back into the league. And let's just say that somebody's probably going to get a burger sponsor out of this. And it is a new linebacker in Chicago, and it is Moore Rivers coming out of retirement from St. Louis to go to Chicago, and they actually move him back to the defensive line at defensive end at a value of around 68. Let's go to Dave Axis for his thoughts.
I think we all saw him pop back into chat just a little while ago, and we were all wondering where he was going to go. And that actually seems like a good fit. He can eat a lot of burgers in Chicago, so that seems like a good fit for him.
John Kruseman, what you think of Moore Rivers getting back in the league? Were you around when Rivers was selected?
I don't think I was. I honestly joined the league in week 2, season 14. I didn't really see when he retired or not, but that's a good signing, what I see. I can't really commentate much on it because I haven't seen him play at all.
A former number 1 draft pick. Everybody thought that they were going to take a quarterback number 1. St. Louis took a risk and went up and got Moore Rivers on the defensive line. Then he shifted and played a little bit at linebacker. Damon remembers Moore Rivers when he was taken number 1 overall. And Raymond Jones III went to Florida earlier in the day for Chicago, so they do get a replacement on this line. What do you think, Damon, about Rivers being back and going to Chicago?
I am glad to see Rivers back in the league. We tried to go after Rivers a few seasons ago when he was a free agent, and it was, as you stated, he got drafted number 1 overall. It was a shocker to the entire league because we thought that St. Louis were going to go with a quarterback with that number 1 overall pick. I mean, it turned the entire draft around, and I want to say that was draft of season right before season 11. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. What Mark Hurwitz has Go ahead.
Excuse me, Cam. It turned the draft so far around with that it pushed B.J. Lovelace into the second round.
It was a shocker. I remember when the transaction came in, and I mean, if you don't have a quarterback, you got to go and get a quarterback. I mean, that is just I guess conventional thinking, but St. Louis really took a gamble, and it sort of threw everybody almost kind of into a panic, as if to say, well, if St. Louis is going to do this, I wonder if my player is going to be wonder if my player is still going to be there after I expected, that this would be kind of a shoo-in. Mark Hurwitz has a comment about what's going on with London and St. Louis having a tough day right now.
Yeah, it just seems like, London offensively has braided. That's pretty tough. St. Louis has lost a number of guys, and we haven't even gotten quarterback pick. So I'm interested to see, what do here as we get.
Well, lucky for St. Louis, it's not all bad news, because the St. Louis Gladiators have a signing in the books, and it's a former Denver Nightwing. It's a former member of the Florida Storm. It's Nicholas Warner signing at linebacker with St. Louis at around 76. Warner comes over from Florida, played for a pretty good defensive mind in Mighty RX, but St. Louis gets him a good signing, and we start with Judah Dorgan. Let's see if we can get him back here for the first time. How you doing, Judah?
I'm doing good. I'm sorry I had to go and my power went out at first, and then kids.
Oh, you're good. You're good. What do you think of this of St. Louis kind of getting back on the horse here after losing a few petieces?
Well, playing St. Louis as a non-contract kicker in season 14. I believe they'll be actually getting their kicker ready to go. Can't speak.
Getting the kicker ready to go, you're saying?
Yeah, getting the kicker ready to go. It'll be good. They had me as a contract kicker for the remainder of the season, I believe. Couldn't catch the games because I was working, sadly.
And you're playing in the minor league for who now?
Actually, no. I did my subscription, everything, got my characters application sent in. By the time I did all that, all the teams were full.
Oh, all the teams are full. So you're looking at the supplemental draft, trying to find a team here.
I'm hoping. I would like to actually stay with St. Louis. I would. Best team I played with. I'm sad to hear Pickler might be gone because he was a good quarterback with St. Louis. He was one of the best playing with him. It was just a great time playing with that team.
Well, we'll see. St. Louis, if you're listening out there, you still Judah Dorgan wants to come back, so we'll see what the supplemental draft has in store for the Gladiators and Judah Dorgan, and we're certainly happy to have you here with us tonight. Eric Vinson, just to piggyback off of what Mark had said about St. Louis and London maybe struggling just a bit here today. This was a big deal for the Glads.
Yeah, this is a big deal right here. Playing down in Florida, Mighty is one of the best owners out there, one of the best SFL minds in this league. 83 total tackles, a sack, 7 tackles for loss, an interception. I mean, he has an impressive resume last season, and St. Louis is definitely going to be happy to have a linebacker of his caliber.
Chicago lost their kicker today to Jacksonville, Anthony Automatic CC, but they didn't take long to find their replacement. And the new kicker in Chicago is the one and only Rob Ems of the Las Vegas Fury. The Fury lost Robert Redford earlier today. They lose Rob Ems, and Vegas still trying to find their legs here in this free agency period. Back to Eddie Gage. Kickers are people too, and Chicago made sure they weren't going to lose one for too long.
Absolutely. After CC went perfect on the year, they of course realized the value that kickers bring to this league, and they want to replace him. And they did so quickly, picking up a free agent from Las Vegas, and hopefully for them, they can get the same type of production that they got out of CC, which was perfection. So he has some big shoulders to fill, but he's up for the challenge. So we'll see how it plays out.
So Rob Ems goes to Chicago from Las Vegas, and when we come back, let's see. We've got a hero from the playoffs, Mason Kirby. The Seattle Tyrants go away. He's got a new home and could be a new hero for his next team, and we'll find out who that is when we return. You're watching SFL Free Agent Frenzy Part 2, Day 1, here on the SFL's YouTube channel. We'll be right back. Welcome back to SFL Free Agent Frenzy here in our second 2-hour block of signings. We left you at the break with the miracle worker from the Seattle Tyrants, Mason Kirby. He has a new team tonight, and let's quickly get the thoughts around the panel on where they think Mason Kirby might be going. He was an incredible player in his time in Seattle and before when they were Dallas. Dave Axis, you have a guess?
I don't know. Who needs receivers? Florida maybe, or does Jacksonville still need receivers? I think Florida's probably a good spot, or maybe even London.
Damon, what do you think? Let's go to Dan.
I could definitely see a few things. I don't remember if St. Louis needs anyone left. I could definitely see Florida, as it was said. I don't see London happening. And I don't think Carlson's starting. I don't see many options.
Eric Vincent?
I mean, I said I'd be happy with him in Fort Worth, but, London's a possibility. Queen City's a possibility as well. St. Louis is another possibility. We'll have to see.
I'm waiting for the right answer. Harish Prasad says Mexico City. John Kruseman, what do you think?
I mean, there's multiple teams that could definitely use a wide receiver. I'm gonna have to either go with Mexico City, maybe Charleston, or maybe even London. Honestly,
AJ Levy says Lone Star. No. Rochelle Colston says Carolina. No. Still don't have it. Robert, want to take a stab?
I mean, the first team that pops in my head, they lost Hunter Jones in the offseason. I think Jacksonville, maybe.
Nope. How about Eddie?
I'm going to take a stab, Cam, and say that he goes to Tulsa.
Wow. Nope. Mason Kirby is the newest member of the Las Vegas Fury.
I didn't expect that.
Las Vegas gets their receiver. Hefty price tag 92, but Mason Kirby, man, he's the stuff that he did, even this season in Seattle, it was mind-blowing. He's had a pretty phenomenal career. Back to you, Eddie, on the signing.
So does that mean where was his value signed at?
92.44.
So he's going to be playing the X then in Las Vegas. That's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Kirby, it was a journey. He was a backup quarterback at one point. And it's just crazy to think the career that he's had. Knockoff Sharknado said Las Vegas up at the top, and Gerald Smith said Vegas. Thomas, it was towards the end, but you guys got a handle on it there at the end. So Las Vegas gets a receiver. Big signing for Vegas, losing Robert Redford earlier in the day. They still need a running back. Back to Eric Vincent on the signing of Mason Kirby.
Playing with him in that Seattle and Dallas locker room, stand-up guy. We obviously were elated with that huge play to knock the Storm out of the playoffs. But he's going to fit in nicely over in Sin City. I think Eddie's right with that value there. He's going to be one of the top two options there in Vegas, which is great for him. He definitely deserves it.
Well, the London Knights, this doesn't come as much of a surprise, but the London Knights have signed a staff member here, so worth noting and worth mentioning. But the London Knights have brought on Tanner Hendricks from the Arizona Scorpions. Left rather unceremoniously from Arizona, but signs in London as a 75 value corner, and that's going to be super important for the London Knights, who struggled defensively after a roster was gutted and London went through a rebuilding season. They were very competitive all season long, but the defense really hurt them. Tanner Hendricks will help them. John Kruseman, your thoughts on maybe London putting some pieces back together here tonight?
That's actually a good piece to implement on the defense. And realistically, he could be beneficial to the defense this coming up season. Yeah, that's my thought. Sorry.
How about Dave Axis? Did you play against Tanner Hendricks last season? I think you did.
I don't think so.
Arizona and Atlanta was back.
No, Atlanta. Oh, yes. Oh,
we played.
It was early.
Did we play?
Yeah,
it must have been early in the season. But I'll tell you, I had some good talks with Tanner in London as I was dealing with my own free agency, and he's a great guy. So this is he's solid, and it's a really good pickup for London, I think.
So the Knights get on the board here tonight too. We're just kind of talking about how London and St. Louis were looking for some signings, and they got some. So so a good look there. How about the guy that Eddie Gage mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Rodney Punani? Wondering where Punani was going to go. He played in Houston, is not returning to Houston, but is remaining in the league. And Rodney Punani will be a part of a newly shaped defense in St. Louis. Another linebacker signing for the Gladiators here tonight. So they get Rodney Punani, and the Gladiators also sign Nicholas Warner. So a pair of linebackers added to a St. Louis defense that includes Mark Gronick, who's also a linebacker. That's 3 linebacker signings for the Gladiators, so this defense is going to look a little different. Drew Riley is back. Freeman Peltier is back. Todd Dubstat is back. There's nothing wrong with this Gladiator defense returning, and Punani makes it that much more lethal. We go to Damon Simeon if he's free to talk about Rodney Punani leaving for other pastures.
Congratulations to St. Louis and Rodney. St. Louis is getting one heck of a ball player. Rodney's a real quiet guy, doesn't speak much, no controversy. No controversy whatsoever in the locker room or so. Good to see him standing right there next to Eddie Gage. In the screenshot. No, I don't think there's Eddie. That's Kai Cash. Sorry, Eddie. No shot. No shot point intended, man. I'm sorry.
Even when they're not trying.
I just saw the 27. But no. St. Louis is getting a great ball player. I hate to see Rodney go, but it was time for the organization and for Rodney, to go in their separate paths and good luck and best wishes on his next endeavors in St. Louis.
Should St. Louis also be on your schedule, Damon?
Nah.
Absolutely.
I released the player. You can put him on there. But I released the player. It wasn't like he was a free agent target that I went after that turned me down.
So it's a little different. It's a little different.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Oh man, well that's good for St. Louis there. That defense is going to be interesting. They just don't have a ton of offensive pieces signed right now, but that defense, that defense has just as much as any defense in the league has signed so far. Robert, any thoughts as to how St. Louis is basically all defense just at this current time?
Yeah, it's a good thing and a bad thing for them. They're really working on building up their defense and strengthening it with some good veterans and solid pieces. But if you can't get any of these offensive free agents, then it's going to be a super young offense, a ton of rookies, and that could spell bad times for them in this upcoming season.
Now, this may come as a shock to some on this panel, because it came as a shock to me. Did anybody realize that Liam Hammer has decided not to return to Chicago?
Yes, that's a shocker, Cam.
I found that out today.
That's pretty unbelievable, right? After the season he had, pretty extraordinary. Somebody is getting a guy who burst onto the scenes, and he erupted, just absolutely erupted on the SFL scene, and he is the newest member of the Lone Star Glory, Liam Hammer.
There we go.
94. You can hear the panel, some shocks from the panel. Liam Hammer going to Lone Star. Start with you, Dan Daly.
I wasn't expecting that at all, Cam. That comes as a huge surprise. Great job by the Lone Star staff for that pickup. Maybe the expansion drew his eye. Maybe it was the staff. I know the Lone Star staff is great. I've talked to them before. They're good people, so great job by him. And that's a big receiver right there in the contract. He came in mid-season and just made massive plays. I was calling one of his games when he almost had a hat trick going on. It was a beautiful game to call, and he was a great receiver, great player overall. Great pickup by them, and I can't wait to see what they use him for, and hope he gets some deep fades out there.
Mark Hurwitz, are you back? No, he had to step out. Let's go to Dave Axis. What do you think about playing alongside Liam Hammer on the New Look Glory squad?
I think it's absolutely glorious. And I think that it says a lot about what Wally and Charles and Coach are doing in Lone Star. And I think it's a humongous pickup, and it might be the steal of the day.
Might be the steal of the day, he says. Well, what about another steal in Texas? This came across here just a little bit earlier today, and was shocked to see this come down the wire. Robert, without saying the player's name, he plays in the secondary. You probably, at least I hope you know what I'm talking about. But how did this signing with this very long name come about?
It was just a last minute thing. I think Nacho had seen him talking on the page all of a sudden, and so we reached out to him and seen where he was at, got his subscription, and told him what we could offer him, and he was set right from there.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Did the long name give it away?
Yes, it did.
I'm looking for while we wait for an action shot of him because we're trying to get through signings as fast as we possibly can here tonight. But we'll put the signing up. It is Jonathan Taylor Sconsing, the newest member of the Fort Worth Toros, playing free safety at a value of 73. Leaves Vegas, goes to Fort Worth. Robert, your continued reaction here to the Toros' newest signing.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And Jonathan's a really good guy. I got the chance at the start of last season in the off season to work with him on that the schedule release show from last season. Got to know him a little bit there. And, when we seen him around and realized he was a free agent, we had to jump on that right away.
Eddie, your reactions to the free safety.
Congratulations to JTS, as Ramos likes to call him. Solid pickup. I looked at his build. He doesn't have a single animation, but he is pretty much maxed out everywhere. He has good height and speed. I think he's 6'1" or 6'2", about 210, something like that. He is a flat-out stud, and as long as he remains disciplined and progresses on time, he's going to be a great fit for that organization. They got a great player there in JTS.
Another shock incoming in terms of wideouts here. This is going to this is a game changer for this offense that was already prolific. And a bit of a down, just a little bit of a down year for this player, but he has proven that he can be phenomenal, and he's going north, and this receiving core is going to be ridiculous. I'm talking about Nick Finch, and I'm talking about the Vancouver Legion. Getting Nick Finch at wide receiver 80.52. Nice. We suspect he might play the slot with Killian and Pratchard. Also have Robert Redford signing with Vancouver earlier today. So Vancouver has gotten two big splashes on offense. We start with John Kruseman and his thoughts on St. Louis losing a big offensive piece, and Vancouver offense just looking darn scary.
Oh, man, this is a good pick for Vancouver, to be honest. Freaking Finch was balling last season, even against Fury when I was playing. They got a good pickup, to be honest. Vancouver's going to be looking dominant as well.
Damon Simeon, Vancouver with Finch and Pratchard and Killian. Any receiver trios that come across your mind that stand up to that? Damon might be putting some kids to bed. Let's go to no, Damon, we got you.
I think I got him quiet for a few seconds here.
All right.
The Legion is with this pick here, this selection in free agency, they're going to put together a great receiving core. But to answer your question, it probably could compare to the receiving core we saw out there in Atlanta with Falco, Axis, and Chisholm.
How is the little one, by the way?
He's good. He's just a little grouchy right now because it's bedtime. He's basically been asleep all day. So now he's trying to wake up and play around, but I don't have time for that. Time to go to bed. So
it's good to have another baby on the broadcast alongside Eric Vincent. Vincent, your thoughts on Nick Finch in Vancouver?
Ouch. All right. No, I honestly second and third everything that everyone else has said. Finch is a big-time weapon to add in Vancouver. Like I said, a little bit of a down year, 572 yards, 3 touchdowns. but he has the ability to put up those big-time numbers. Like I said, probably going to be in the slot there with that contract number. But honestly, that's a dangerous wide receiver group there in Vancouver.
The shock of the night comes up next when we return to Free Agent Frenzy. Welcome back to the SFL's Free Agent Frenzy. The shock of the night is coming up next, and lucky for Eddie Gage, he gets to be put on the spot because I feel like he is one of the few on this panel that might be able to get this right, and if anybody has a guess, you're more than welcome to. Eddie, what if I told you that a wide receiver last season was going to play running back this year? What if I told you that he had played running back before?
Oh.
And what if I told you he was going to a different team after playing for the same team for 7 seasons?
Oh, now I'm gonna put my thinking cap. I was going one direction, and now with that last statement, you just threw me all off.
Anybody know who I'm talking about?
No clue.
No clue.
The London Knights have signed Robert Merrill.
What?
Running back, 89.85.
That's where I was going at first, but when you said 7 seasons, has it been that long?
Merrill played running back at season 12, 680 yards and 6 touchdowns. He did have 69 receptions, 3 touchdowns through the air. Last season, his numbers, he's only had 2 touchdowns the last 2 seasons combined, so his numbers a little shaky in Florida. He's going back to running back. London captures a running back spot. I will start with Eric Vinson for reaction.
Jeez, yeah, you're right. This is probably the shock of the night. I'm not sure if he'll be able to replicate the success that Reggie Streeter had. Obviously, him moving on, that's going to be an interesting place for him to be. But shoot, man, that's going to be wild. That's a good signing for London there for sure, and definitely surprising that he's leaving Florida.
Yeah, absolutely.
DeMond,
You know, that's why I was going at first, but when you said 7 seasons, I didn't realize he'd been there that long.
let me actually let me go to Judah real quick. What do you think of London getting? I mean, it's crazy to think about a receiver playing running back, but Merrill has always been kind of that slot scat guy, and London's going to have a quick one on their hands.
Right.
Say again?
I had both mics muted.
Oh, you're good. Go ahead.
So I think about this is it could do he could be what's that one thing? He was playing as a running back this year, correct?
Yes.
So now if they use him correctly, he could be actually both wide receiver and running back, because there are plays out there that let the running back gotten received well. So that could be a surprise to some teams that if they analyze that correctly.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. It
could come to a surprise.
Yeah,
to
this
most
London
teams.
offense. I mean, this London offense has produced the record-breaking numbers of Reggie Streeter, and so it'll be interesting to see if Robert Merrill back in the backfield. He's sort of the what was the Packers guy a few seasons ago? Why can I not remember that guy in the backfield?
Can't even remember the players on your own team.
Somebody help me out. I've got 440 of you guys.
Green Bay's irrelevant. Who knows?
Eddie speaks the truth there.
There you go.
Eddie, you don't want to get in a back
Edgar
and forth.
Bennett, I don't know.
You don't want to get in a back and forth with me on my own show. not after that last season you had.
He needs
Eddie,
ice.
We're looking forward, Cam. We're looking forward.
Only because Eddie's a Bear fan. Do I go there? And I know that Ashley Jackson's in the chat, so Ashley, enjoy your sub 500 season once again in Chicago. So, moving on to more SFL talk and conversation. Another signing here. This one by a team that has been pretty quiet in free agency because their team is almost built. But the Baltimore Vultures have signed Chris Dodd at cornerback. Quietly, Baltimore has not re-signed Kaz McFly or Hendricks Thornberry, and Chris Dodd will be a new player in the defensive backfield for Baltimore. And the Vultures have kind of flown under the radar since that first round or that quarterfinal loss at home to Queen City. Dodd played for that very team, and now he is going to go help Baltimore and that defense. So, Dan Daly, your thoughts on the signing for Baltimore after their cornerbacks have been quietly missing from the transaction log so far?
I think they're trying to strengthen something. You know, Chris Dodd had a quietly good season, 57 tackles, 3 interceptions. They could have a few plans there, game plan, maybe move someone from corner. I don't think they do that, though. So they're either waiting to re-sign their cornerbacks or they're looking for someone new, maybe in the draft. Maybe they have some eyes on the Simulation Football League minors. But who knows on that end? I think it's a good deal depending how they're shifting off, stealing them from Queen City. I have to see how they react. I haven't seen much Queen City today. So it's an interesting sign with a lot of implications, I think, throughout the league.
By the way, thanks to Jeremy Vega for actually being helpful in the chat. Ty Montgomery is who I was thinking of. Wasn't being ruthless and mean like Eddie. Robert, your thoughts on Chris Dodd going to Baltimore? It's been a long time since we've seen a new cornerback in Baltimore.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he fits into Baltimore now. Pretty much coming in as the only corner at the moment, and leaving a Queen City defense that was pretty tough and kind of flying under the radar on that defense. So getting to step out a little bit and show what he can do in Baltimore.
Another team that's been flying under the radar a little bit tonight and throughout the day is the Denver Nightwings. And the Denver Nightwings have also got a new member of their secondary, Barry Barkley, from the Tulsa Desperados signs as a 67 valued strong safety. So Denver gets another on the board. The Night Wings coming into the night already had 12 players on their team. Other defenders include Adam Wiseman, Des Troyer. They've got Josh Vasquez coming back, Matt Papineau and Nick Kindler coming back, but safety's just a little light, and Barry Barkley will help fill that void. And Eric Vincent, a quiet, maybe a quieter signing of the night, but it's a piece that Denver needs, and Barkley certainly has been a valuable player for a couple of teams over the last few years.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's safety is one of those positions that you talk to the different owners around this league. It's a position that you can get some value at, but at the same time, you can find several different people, several different players that can fill those spots. Over 80 solo tackle, or excuse me, only 80 total tackles. 9 interceptions a season ago with Tulsa. So that's a very quiet but effective signing there for Denver.
As we kind of set the recap or reset button here as we enter fully into the second era of the free agent frenzy here tonight, I want to go back to let's go to Robert. Any signings that you're still wondering where are they?
I mean, the one that continues to lurk, and I think everybody talks about, would have to be the Johnny Pickler signing. It's a big one that's probably going to lurk around for a while in free agency as he continues to judge out where things are going. But I'm also interested to see where guys like Lincoln Kingseed Sr. or Lyric Da Vinci are going to end up sitting in free agency and looking for their new home.
Oh, those are a couple good ones as well. Another good one off the board is Skylar Kingsley. Kingsley at defensive end will join the Mexico City, just that new look defense that the Aztecs have been deploying. If you look at Mexico City's signings so far, they've got Brock Lee on the line. They've got Dexter Jackson at linebacker. They did sign Han Tayumi, by the way, so the Aztecs will have 3 corners on the roster. They've got Jeffrey Daggs on this defense back returning. Yeah, interesting collection of defensive players. Maybe a lot of names that some people don't recognize, but Skylar Kingsley going to try to make a name for himself in Mexico City, among others. Eddie, your thoughts on the Aztecs picking up another on the line?
He's going to a classy organization. Ramos and company's going to find a way to make that mixture work. I can guarantee you he's already probably been simming games. Probably got about 10 of them under his belt already, just trying to figure out how he's going to put those guys in a position to make plays where they're most comfortable. He doesn't want to put them out of position where they aren't capable of making plays. And, yeah, Ramos is going to find a way to make that thing work like he always does.
All right, Dan, I think you've waited long enough. What do you think?
I mean, if you think it's time, I'll concede.
Dan Daly at tight end. Where is he going? You want to give the public maybe a little bit of hint?
I'm joining little old Andy Hamilton. Sorry to say your name wrong on air, up in Vancouver.
That's not a hint. That's just what it is.
Well, I can announce the campus official announcement anyway.
Dan Daly going to Vancouver. I think technically that voice. No, I'm just kidding. 79.5 at tight end for Dan Daly in Vancouver. What was the process like for you? What was the kind of the offer? Why did you decide to leave? What led you to Canada?
Well, I was talking to a bunch of people throughout the free agency period. I left Las Vegas, parting on good terms, and just wanted to float about for a bit. Got a bunch of offers, just from about 6 or 7 teams. I had 2 serious teams I was going back and forth with, and just talking to Andy, doing broadcast with him. He's a great guy and everything. I was like, I like this organization. I like what they do. It was a good offer, and it just lined up. So I'm very happy to be part of the team.
Damon, it's another weapon for Vancouver's offense, and it's interesting the tight end that occupied that number one spot in Vancouver. The Moose, Chris Hearn, haven't seen that signing come across, but Dan Daly, a nice pickup for Vancouver.
Is absolutely a great pickup here for Vancouver, Cam. Anytime you can add a down the field threat tight end with the 3 wide receiver core, it basically is going to spread open that secondary on the other side of the ball, meaning the defense. And I mean, you got to pick your poison. Who are you going to stop? You got to pick somebody. And I mean, the tight end basically is going to be wide open. Great pickup here for Vancouver. I'm very excited for this offense next season.
The pillaging of the Las Vegas Fury continues tonight. Freddie Trammell is the newest member of the Lone Star Glory. Vegas loses another piece here, and that has been kind of a theme of the night, that the Fury kind of in rebuilding mode just a bit, losing Redford and Daly and Trammell and Taylor Sconsing and Ems and Redford, and that's a lot of names. But Dave, your reaction to another new teammate of yours?
Like I said before, another glorious signing for Lone Star.
Freddie
is solid. I'm going to be saying that every time you guys announce another glory signing.
I'll go to somebody else.
I think that again, it just shows what they're trying to do there. Freddie is solid as can be. I may have to rescind my Vancouver MVP bid from earlier, the way they've been re-signing people, and maybe transfer that over to Las Vegas at this point.
Yeah, we didn't really see it a lot during the early stages of the day, but this late 2-hour window has really been hurting the Fury. So we'll see if they can bounce back. John Kruseman, any thoughts to your former team struggling a little bit here tonight in free agency? They have picked up a couple of guys along the way, but
I mean, honestly, they're gonna they gotta pick up some key players in the draft or some other free agents that will help their team. They've lost a lot. You got, like you said, you got Robert Redford, Trammell, Ems, Dan Daly, as well as that left them. It's gonna be Fury's gonna have to have a good season to rebuild, I say. I give them hope and props to see if they get better, though.
6 different players from the Seattle Tyrants signing with different teams today at the start of free agency. This is another one. Iverson Gamble going to Arizona. Signs at a 75 rating and with change at corner. And we go to Eddie to talk about this get.
Yes. Iverson Gamble. We were not expecting to lose Tanner. We lost him pretty much late in the free agency period, and we had to fill a void. It was kind of unfortunate for us because he and Matakanaka both finished with 18 interceptions total, yet they were amongst the lowest paid starting cornerbacks. So wow. I had to replace that value, and I just kind of found him out there, got to talking to him for a bit, and he and I were on the same page, and I could just hear the intensity in his voice. And, you know, he's like, how could I not go play for Eddie Gage? And I can just feel the intensity through the computer, so to speak. And we just had to make it happen. I can't wait to get him out there, pair him up with Mana, and hashtag give me that.
Andrew Hamilton making a great point in the chat about Tom Pepper and Dan Daly being reunited from their days in Indy. Dan, do you remember that season? That was a long time ago.
Oh yeah, I remember that season. That was the second season I was in the league after we had the expansion. It was an interesting league or time in the league for sure, and I'm really excited to be reunited with Tom. It should be a fun receiving corps for sure.
Was that the season that the Red Devils made the playoffs?
No, that was the first season of the expansion.
Oh, that was their first season in the league?
Yes.
Wow, that was a long time ago. Well, boy, what is that, 6 or 7 seasons removed for you, and finally back together again in Canada, so that's a cool storyline. No shock here, but another loss for the Florida Storm on defense as Florida tries to put the pieces back together defensively. But Jeff Millennion is going to Louisiana, taking that free safety spot at 61, part of that secondary that includes Nathan Blake. They also got some big pieces. They were very active earlier today, but it'll be Millennion, Blake, Tank Bennett, Blake Craze, Even Arthur, Chuck Diesel, Rolliman Hood, all on that defense, and most of them in the secondary. Going to be a very dangerous secondary in Louisiana. Mark, are you back? Mark Hurwitz? We'll move on. Eric Vincent, what do you think? Jeff Millennion.
Jeff is a solid person as far as both being a broadcaster and a player. Got to visit with him in the Revolution front office down there in the Bayou, and that was a great time. And they're putting together quite a team. As you mentioned, this defense is going to be quite salty, and I'm definitely not looking forward to playing them. Hopefully they're not on our schedule.
What are these teams like, Vincent, when you talk? Because you just went through the free agent process, so did Dave. But, I mean, how different are the teams, or are they similar in pitches? What kind of different pitches do you get out of these squads?
It depends on the person. It depends on the team. There are a lot of different team mentalities. That seems to be a commonality amongst all the owners. Everyone wants to have a good locker room, a good solid group of guys. Sometimes they'll want you to kind of take a cut here and there, depending on what their squad is looking like, where they can spend money. But honestly, it's very similar pitches. Everyone wants to have a solid locker room. And, I just have to basically go off of who I know is in that locker room and go off of the front office staff. And if I know them well, then that's going to be where I want to go.
All right, 9:23 here on the SFL's Free Agent Frenzy. We've still got a few to come across the wire. We'll take a short break, and we'll be back with the rest of the signings here on the SFL YouTube channel. Keep enjoying the SFL's Free Agent Frenzy. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the SFL's Free Agent Frenzy of Season 15. If you're just joining us, our wonderful panel, Dave Axis, Damon Simeon, Dan Daly, Eric Vinson, Mark Hurwitz, John Kruseman, Robert Garrett Jr., Judah Dorgan, and Eddie Gage. I want to go back to Dave here real quick. What's been your maybe favorite signing of the night, most interesting signing of the night, outside of your glorious signings in Lone Star? Can you pick you got one on the board there?
Wow, outside of those, I don't know. I like the fact. Well, the Lone Star signings are glorious, but I would say outside of the steal of the night in Liam and the Bash brothers getting a third Bash brother in the linebacking core at Lone Star. I don't know. There's, to be honest with you, Cam, I don't know. There's been a lot. I don't remember his name. The guy who moved from receiver to running back.
Yeah, Robert Merrill.
Said that.
Robert Merrill.
Yeah, that was a shocker, and that's thinking outside the box and moving people around and doing what you got to do to fill holes. So I think that was pretty impressive to me.
Damon, you got one?
One what? I just went to go grab some cookies. I just came in on
no. What kind of cookies?
Did you bring enough to share?
Are they Oreo?
No, they're not Oreo. I only brought 3. They're the cookies with the chocolate on the back of the cookie and got the little stripes on the front, the little Kibble elves.
Oh yeah, yeah, fudge stripes.
Yeah,
the fudge stripes. There you go.
Did you bring enough for everybody?
Oh, those are good. I gotta make a run to the store now.
Yep, you sure do. I only brought 3. And,
You should.
Those things are delicious. I haven't had those in forever.
The question was, Damon, what signing tonight has been the most interesting to you?
Eddie and EJ the Cute. I did not see that coming. Cam, I bull job you not, dude. I was in talks with EJ the Cute for about 2 weeks, and dude was like, "Oh yeah, man, you one of the top 2 teams that I'm discussing with or whatever." And me and my staff, we got our hopes all up, and I'm like, man, because that Johnson retired, so I'm like, okay, we got a replacement. And man, dude hit me last week. He was like, no, I contact him. I say, hey, what's up? What you gonna do? I sent the dude a graphic with his player in my uniform and everything.
I seen it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh goodness.
Oh my god.
Well, that's going to be a fun primetime game. Well, we've been talking a lot here in the last couple of hours about Las Vegas, and it's not all bad news for Vegas. They got a staff member in the off season that's going to be real key to their puzzle, and that's Slyn Shady. And Slyn Shady actually most recently played in Seattle. But now in Vegas at linebacker, got a pretty sizable contract at nearly 82. So Slyn Shady will be Trammell goes to Lone Star, and Shady will be in that spot. Robert Garrett Jr. As we've said, not all bad for Vegas tonight.
Slyn Shady, a really good grab for him. He was kind of a key player on the defense for Seattle last season. And now coming in as a staff member, putting in a lot of work, and definitely a contract he deserves and he's earned through his work, even in other prior seasons.
John Kruseman, you again, Vegas in the news here tonight, but Slyn Shady has been a beast for years. He got kind of his start in London. He was unbelievable there, and then went to Seattle, and it didn't seem like he dropped at all. This is a probably, you would say, an upgrade at linebacker.
Yeah, actually, they picked up a good linebacker after Trammell did leave, so this might be a really good key player they really did pick up. Sorry.
Judah, your thoughts on the Slyn Shady signing? Vegas's night, maybe in general.
It is Vegas's night for all these. They're picking up good free agents. Sorry, almost a lot of words are stuck in my mind right now. They have been picking up the decent players throughout this whole thing.
Well, this
I'm
one,
surprised
this
to see
this
what
is.
they're.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no.
This is
I
going to
was
be
just gonna
another.
say, I'm excited. Sorry about that.
Sorry, Judah. I think all it is a delay in the audio. But you're good. My apologies. This is another staff member that comes as no surprise here. But the Fort Worth Toros getting Nacho Sicario from Queen City, moving to corner though. That's a bit interesting. I believe Sicario will be playing corner for the first time. We start with Robert to talk us through what went into that decision.
Yeah, there was a lot headed into the decision on what to do with Nacho. We submitted him a lot later than a lot of our submissions today, just because we were trying to figure out what to do with him, planning out different thoughts, looking at what we could do, and finally we figured out that leaving him at corner to work across Aiden Davis and really just set up a solid defensive backfield was going to be our best bet.
Just because I love the exchange in this what has transpired here tonight between Damon and Eddie, two good friends. EJ DeQ in the chat says, "I am sorry, Damon. I really am, man." Damon, your response?
The response was, I tried to respond back to him, but I ended up responding to Eric Vincent and said, "You okay? You're all right, buddy."
Those names, pretty close. Pretty close together.
And dude, I made sure I clicked on his name and not Eric Vincent. And YouTube just will not let me be great tonight. It just failed me.
and
you just wanted to talk to me. That's okay.
My apologies on the correction here. Sicario did play corner at Queen City last season. Just not used to. I guess I'm just not used to it yet. Eric, do you accept Damon's apology?
Yes, I do accept Damon's apology.
Okay. All right, making sure that the peace continues around here. How about another? I'm not going to Dave though on this. Another Lone Star, a Lone Star signing. I'm gonna have to mute him if he's just gonna interject. I know he's gonna interject, but the defensive back Lincoln Kingseed Sr., another pluck from Vancouver, signed. Look at that contract, Eddie, at strong safety, 85.31.
Glorious.
Eddie, your thoughts? I've muted Dave. He's off limits.
I mean, they backed up the Brinks truck for this guy. I want to know who he knows down there in headquarters. Is he dating the owner's daughter or what? Because he's just set up for a lifetime of currency there with this contract here.
Dan, your thoughts on loans? I mean, let's take a look at Lone Star here real fast. I mean, this has all happened so quick for Lone Star. Brian Craven, Dave Axis, Doug Day, Juke and Rook, and that's 4. And then here tonight, Freddie Trammell, Liam Hammer, Lincoln Kingseed Sr. That's 7, and we got 1 more to go.
A lot of defensive players that they're picking up as well.
Yep.
He's got a hefty contract.
They had people in mind. Sure. I think their scouting job was magnificent. They definitely knew who they wanted before it even started. They had a great net spread. They knew who they wanted. That's a huge, strong safety contract. You know that backfield against Lone Star is going to be a little glorious.
Not you too, Dan. Handy Hamilton. Unbelievable. Things fell off the rails here late somewhere. I don't know how it got started. I think it was the Fudge Stripes. A couple more signings here left to go. This one is interesting. Another player coming out of retirement. Let me get some details on him here before we get to his signing. Another man in the defensive backfield. Played in season 13. Last played in season 13 with the Denver Nightwings. Also played for the Oklahoma City Renegades at one time. But Mexico City gets another, and it's actually a new member of the Mexico City front office. He's their general manager, and it's Matthew Lee, and he's going to be playing strong safety. So the Mexico City secondary, outside of Jeffrey Daggs, I mean, this is a whole new chapter. We're not used to this type of turnover in Mexico City, but this is they're one of the most interesting teams out of this free agent bunch, I think. And Lee is helping that Mexico City front office as well. Let's start with Eric Vinson's thoughts on yet another Mexico City piece to the puzzle.
Yeah, and Mexico City, they're looking good on defense. With the question marks that they kind of had at corner that we touched on a little bit earlier in the first part. This morning, these are a lot of big time signings, and Matthew Lee coming in and taking a front office position as well. That's going to be a good fit there. Ramos has an excellent judge of character, so if he's going down there to help out with the Aztecs, he's going to be good news for them.
All right, we've got here at 9:37 on the SFL Free Agent Frenzy, we have, I believe, just one more contract to go. I think it's the last one of the night, folks. This has been a crazy day of free agency, and boy, it wouldn't be the end of the free agency show without another pickup by the team from Denton. They have been busy today. That is Chicago's Mickey McGuire. So Liam Hammer out, Mickey McGuire out, Anthony Cece out. That's a few pieces for Chicago throughout the day, and Lone Star gets another on defense. Eddie, you built your team. You had an easier time building defense last year than offense. But a lot of teams struggle keeping defenders and with defensive consistency just because they're not as glamorous a position. Is this the way to build the team? Get the defense situated first, locked and loaded?
Well, Cam, come on. History has proven defense wins games. You got to get the defense in place. Sometimes the offense doesn't travel on road games. Defense always travels if you have a good squad together. So, yes, all this talent out here, teams are spreading the ball out more. You got teams like Sioux Falls who pack it in and run the ball down your throat. Look at Vancouver. They got, 3 receivers, a tight end, and Robert Redford in the backfield to take some stress off of Tom Pepper. So you need defenses out here to try to keep that score close while the offense gets things together. So, yeah, in my opinion, it's going to always be the way to go.
It's going to be the last time you take a jab at the offense, man. Cam, I don't know if you heard his big word, but all that he said was if the defense shows up on the road. That's a big if, Eddie. It may be a small word, but that's a big if. You're going to stop talking down on the Thank you. Who said that? Dave. You the man, Dave.
Oh, my. What a day. We have seen, golly.
I love Eddie, but he got to stop that with the offense.
Come on, you need your own show, man. You got too much energy.
So
that's what working at home, man. I'm not able to work it off. I just sit in the house cooped up all day. I couldn't get out.
Well, it's been one heck of a day for free agent signings. Day one, it's just unprecedented. The SFL minor league starts tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. 4 more games on the docket, so we'll get a look at that rookie. That rookie class who's seen their spots evaporate maybe by about 60 transactions today, 55, 60 transactions today. Just putting a day on a bow on the day. I just want to go around the room, give me your one big takeaway from the day. What's your main takeaway from the day? And we'll start with whoever is ready.
He's gonna wear that word out, tell you.
Oh man.
Say again.
He's gonna wear that word out, Cam.
What word out? Oh, see, I muted him, so it didn't go out on the air. Sorry about that, Dave. Oh, what a shame.
Funny stuff, Cam. Cam's killing the show.
Keep him muted.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna have to say Nacho. Nacho Cheese Fort Worth company actually got some solid players. Same with Lone Star.
So a Texas day, Fort Worth and Lone Star standing tall, getting a lot of good pieces. That's a good one, John.
I go with that as well. Texas, both teams represented well today, both expansion teams. They got a lot of good pieces out there, especially on defense, complemented with some nice pickups on offense as well. Don't sleep on those two expansion teams. They got some good pieces out there. Then you got Nacho bringing his coaching experience along with his buddy over there, Lewis, the GM and coaching experience. Then you got Jared over there, the GM for Louisiana. He's always working. Every time I talk to this guy, I've talked to him on the phone several times. He's always energetic and, he's putting the work in throughout the season, in the off season. He's going to help that squad out. So there's a lot of good things going on with these new teams out here. And we better not sleep on them because they're coming out here to make noise. They're trying to do it right away out the gate.
Anyone else got a thought to summarize the day?
Yeah, 65 signings today, and not one of them came to Houston.
Oh.
He's not salty.
Well, that leads me to my next question, Mom. What's next for Houston? What you got cooking over there?
Shit, the draft. What else I got to do?
Cam, you set him up for that one. Come on now.
Yeah. In hindsight. In hindsight.
No.
No, you literally set him up for that.
Eric Vincent, put a bow on this for us. Get us out of here.
It really was an amazing day. I can't remember a time where we had so many different free agents signing to so many different places. 4 different new teams. We still have the minor leagues going on. We still have the draft happening. 7 rounds in the draft. It is a great time to be in the SFL. We had triple digits watching a free agency show, for crying out loud, all day today. So, hats off to the community, and it's only going to get better from here. Definitely look forward to season 15.
For Dave Axis, Damon Simeon, Dan Daly, Eric Vincent, Mark Hurwitz, John Kruseman, Robert Garrett Jr., Judah Dorgan, Eddie Gage, I am SFL Commissioner Cameron Irvine, and what a day it has been. And from all of us, thank you so much for being here today. Thanks to Andy Hamilton for all the graphic work. Thanks to Marcus Dunhill for a tremendous job getting through all the contracts in his first offseason as Director of Player Personnel. Thanks to Andrew Rastelli for everything he does in the SFLM and otherwise. And we'll see you back here on the SFL's YouTube channel tomorrow for SFL minor league games. Last week, man, there were some fun games and some great plays. I can't wait to see what the teams roll out in week 4. Eddie, tell them to drive home safely, and let's get out of here.
Thanks for coming. Good night. Drive home safely, everybody.